Good morning, Year 3. It's Miss Callaghan here with your literacy lesson. Today's date is Wednesday the 3rd of March 2021, and for today's learning objective we are continuing to analyse a narrative. Please write the date and the learning objective in your literacy book now. Pause the video if you need more time to do this. For our spag warm-up today, we're continuing to look at prepositions. Can you remember the 3 things that prepositions can describe? If you can remember the types of prepositions, can you give an example of each? I'll give you 15 more seconds thinking time. Let's have a look. Prepositions are words and phrases that can be used to describe place, like we did on Monday. For example, under, on, next to. We've got time prepositions that we did yesterday, such as on Saturday, at 1 o'clock, at lunchtime, and cause prepositions, which we're going to be looking at today. Prepositions can tell how something is caused by something else. For example, there's a girl here. Due to the barking, she put her hands over her ears. The girl has performed an action, she's put her hands over her ears, which has been caused by the dog barking. Can you help me find the preposition in the sentence? Let's read through it again. Due to the barking, she put her hands over her ears. Barking's a verb. Again, this is another action. She put her hands over her ears is adding more information. So the preposition is going to be due to, as is explaining that something is caused by something else. Here we have another sentence. Jodie and her brother missed the bus. Blank, waking up too late. We need to use a cause preposition to complete the sentence. What word or phrase could go in the gap? 20 seconds thinking time. Try to come up with a cause preposition that might fit in this sentence. Let's have a look at some ideas that you might have put in the sentence. You might have said because of. Jodie and her brother missed the bus because of waking up too late. You might have used due to, like in the previous example. As a result of. Jodie and her brother missed the bus as a result of waking up too late. Thanks to, or account of. These are other cause prepositions that you might have used. Now it's your turn to try writing a sentence using a cause preposition. The mild challenge is to write a sentence using because of, to describe how something is caused by something else. You might write a sentence such as, the cricket match was cancelled because of the rain. The spicy challenge is to use due to in your sentence, and the hot challenge is to use as a result of as your cause preposition. Pause the video while you write your sentence in your literacy book and press play when you're ready to continue. In yesterday's lesson, we analysed this narrative written by me, called The Island of No Return. What was the narrative about? This story followed Tony and Grandpa's adventure, following on from Taking Flight, the video that we were watching last week. After we read the narrative together and spoke about some of the language, we were looking at the features of a narrative. We know that there's a title. Our title was The Island of No Return. There was the beginning of the story, which introduced the characters and setting. So it introduced Tony, Dad, and Grandpa. And then there was a setting description of an island. In my setting description, I tried to use lots of adjectives, such as the dazzling turquoise ocean, to try and paint a picture in your head as the reader, so that you could imagine that you were inside the story. I described using senses. For example, he heard the gentle splash of water, or the salty smell of the ocean engulfed them. This section was really detailed, using lots of adjectives, verbs, and adverbs. The next part of the narrative is the build-up, where the author gives hints or clues about what is going to happen next. Can you look back over the narrative and try to find any hints or clues of what might happen next? This is called foreshadowing, where the author, in this case me, hints at things or events that might happen next. One that I can see is this speech from Tony, where he says, "It looks abandoned," talking about the island. "I hope there are no pirates." This is hinting at what might happen later on in the story. Another example is the skull and crossbones that they can see. Well done if you thought of those ideas. The next part is a dilemma where something goes wrong. What was the dilemma in my story? Here we can see the dilemma. Tony touches the skull and crossbones and crash! Immediately chaos happens. A storm occurs and the problem becomes apparent. Captain Blackeye, the fearsome pirate, is on the island. The sky becomes dark, and all of a sudden, the pirate throws Tony and Grandpa into a sack, and they get taken onto the pirate ship. "Walk the plank!" growled Captain Blackeye. "Straight into the shark-infested water." Oh no, that is a dilemma. How is this dilemma resolved? What is the resolution in the story? How are Tony and Grandpa saved? The resolution happens when Grandpa grabs a rope, swings around the ship, using the rope and knocks the pirate into the ocean. Tony and Grandpa are safe. And we know that they're really happy about this because they hug with jubilant delight. The final paragraph is the ending. In the ending, it says what the characters will do next. If we look back, it says, let's get you home before your dad starts worrying about us. That's what they're going to do next. And Tony says, let's never return to this island. I'm sure you all did a fantastic job yesterday of completing your checklist, trying to identify these features in the narrative. You will see in your pack today that you have a new story, another adventure narrative. For your task today, you need to try and put the story back together in the correct order because it has been all jumbled up. And you're going to use these labels: title, beginning, build-up, dilemma, resolution and ending. You need to go through it in chronological order. So you will look for the title first. What is the title in this narrative? We know that titles are normally short. So I think Charlie's Magical Chalk is the title. Underneath the title label, you would stick the title. And then you would look at the next one, beginning. This should be the section that introduces the characters and the setting. So you would look back through your story, read through the sections, and try to find the one that explains who the characters are and where the story is set. When you have decided which part you think the beginning is, you would look to try and find the build-up, which should include some hints about what's going to happen next. The dilemma, what is the problem that happens? The resolution, how is the problem solved? And then the ending, what will the characters do next? Pause the video now while you complete this task. I suggest you don't stick them into your books until you're fully sure on the order. After you've completed your task, you've got your chilli challenges for today. The mild chilli challenge is to look back over today's reading and pick out words or phrases that the author uses to describe the setting. You need to be thinking about where the narrative is set. From reading through this section, I can see that it was set on a hot summer's day. The authors used a preposition to tell you about the time. Can you find any describing words in the beginning that tells you where the story is taking place? Copy these into your literacy book. As a challenge, could you add any more describing words, any more adjectives to describe the setting and improve this writer's work? For today's spicy challenge, I want you to look back over the story and try to find words or phrases to describe the setting and the characters. Like with the mild challenge, you need to extract the words that tell us where the narrative is set and copy these into your literacy book, and then to extract the words that describe who the main characters are, and again copy these into your literacy book. And for your challenge, how could you improve the author's writing? Could you use more words to describe Charlie or Amy? What do they look like? What's their personality like? Can you describe them to the reader so that the person who is reading it gets a picture in their mind of what they look like, so that they can relate to the character and want to read the story? And finally, for today's hot challenge, I want you to look at how the author uses foreshadowing in the story. These are the little hints or clues that the author uses about events or actions that might happen later in the story. Can you find any hints that the drawings are going to come to life? Write these in your literacy book. For your challenge, I want you to try and improve my story. I've used a few examples of foreshadowing. For example, I hope there are no pirates. But I think you can do a much better job than me. Can you add in some more foreshadowing into my story? I would like you to write an example of how I could do this in your literacy book. Please help me to try to make my writing better. Well done everyone. Use the rest of your literacy time to complete these tasks. Keep working hard, and it will be your turn to write your adventure stories soon. We can't wait to read them.